Hi guys, today I'm talking about a game that I've been playing recently. It's called Gundam Battle Gundam Warfare. It's been some time since I last uploaded my last video from the Final Fantasy Brave X because I've decided to stop playing that game. The time required on that game is just too much. Those of you who have been playing that game, FFB, you spend a lot of time on auto clicks, macro, or you use switch control because you just want to maximize the energy that you get from the game. So I decided to drop it, balancing the other things in life. So Gundam Battle Gundam Warfare, what I find, and that's one of my first opinions about the game, is that the time required on this game is low. So that's good for people who are just looking for something fun to play, but not necessarily high maintenance, so that you're not constantly on your game every day, every time of the day, right? So the next thing I want to talk about the game is that the general flow of the game is very intuitive. It's simple. The concept is simple. You collect different parts to assemble a Gundam of your choice, and you see them in action. So basically you get to see them pit against another Gundam, either against against an enemy within the game. So the flow of the game is simple, and the concept of the game is unique. So not many games allow you to have that level of customization in its experience, and the gameplay itself is engaging. So most of the time, the energy that you get throughout the day, you can simply use skip tickets, right, to obtain the rewards. But when you do engage in the gameplay, it is actually very fun and interactive. So on a weekly basis, there will be weekly events that occur, and after clearing all the achievements within the stage, just like most games, you have a skip ticket, and these are not difficult to come by. The game provides it quite generously, so they actually don't require much time to use the skip tickets. So that's a good thing about the game. As you can see, it's as simple as a tap of a button. But when you actually do try out the gameplay and to battle, it's actually really fun, and you can see how the UX is really well designed as well. So in terms of graphics, they have spared no expense in a sense. So I'm going to show you an example, right? When you go into a battle, how does it look like? So I have my squad, right? Enemies are quite difficult. Maybe I'll just refresh. Okay, that's more reasonable. And this is my squad that I'm going against. So in battle, you get to use different skills that you have put in. And there's voice acting, the music is good as well. And you get to control the Gundam that you have designed. The other two units are usually controlled by the computer. Okay, so this is a CG scale. Right? Very well animated. So that's rewarding to watch as well for those who are Gundam fans. So you can have the choice of playing it on auto, but when you do decide to play it on manual, it is really interactive and fun. And the general flow is quite simple. You just assemble your Gundam just like how you would on a plastic model kit for those who collect Gundams. But the difference is this time you get to see them in action, right? And you get to see them battle out in 3D graphics. And one more unique thing is that you might notice that my Gundams are consisting of different models from different Gundams. So I have Gundam F91's head, but I have Astray Red Frame's body, and I have Gundam Barbatos' arm as well, the fourth form, and I have Destiny's backpack. So how does the game actually make it all come together? Now firstly, maybe the question is, why do I have so many different Gundam parts assembled on one unit? The way the game is designed, there is no one powerful suit. Each mobile suit has certain parts that are stronger and some parts that are just average. So it would make sense to optimize your Gundam's build and its fighting capabilities by choosing different parts and putting them together. So you can choose, for aesthetic purposes, a complete mobile suit. Let's say everything is Gundam frame Astray, but you wouldn't be optimizing the fighting capability. So another thing to consider, each part comes with EX skills or traits. So you can see here, there's a set of EX skills. And the thing is, when you launch your sortie or mobile suit, you only get to bring in 3 EX skills. So it makes more sense to only have a little more than 3 EX skills to choose from, and the rest of the parts you try to select them based on the stats or the traits to boost your Gundam's fighting capability. Because if you have just every part as an EX skill, you're just wasting the potential of the part. So to increase your Gundam fighting capability, of course, one thing weird about mixing all your Gundam parts is you might think, hey, then my Gundam's gonna look like a mishmash chimera made by a 5-year-old with limited understanding of what is consistency. So the good thing about the game is that they took that into account, and you're allowed to paint your Gundam. So as you can see currently, one of my Gunpla Mason is a mishmash of many different parts, and in their default coloring they really look really random, but you can actually select the painting custom paint that you collect by collecting a full suit. So for example, you collect a full suit of Dragon Gundam, you can actually select that coloring and everything will be Dragon Gundam's color scheme, and you can see the consistencies there. Or you have Wing Gundam as a full suit, they will give you the full color scheme of Wing Gundam, and then everything is colored in Wing Gundam scheme. So that makes for more consistency. Likewise, I can try Sword Impulse or Astray Red Frame if I want. So that's how it will look like following Astray Red Frame's color scheme. You can also customize the glow. So if you like it to glow green or red, blue, so this really allows a lot of room for customizability. And there's one more option, you can actually create your own custom colors as well. So in Pason, I have colored him this way, and I think I like the way that's designed. Yep. So as you can see, the graphics are great. The way they allow users to customize the Gunpla but still keep it aesthetically pleasing is great. The next point about this game is the gacha rates. The gacha rates are really reasonable, I have to say. They're not here to rip off players. If you're a whale and you're prepared to spend on the game, feel free. But the game is really reasonable in this. At least the same or better than most gacha games. So most gacha games, you have tiers, of course, and you have the base rarity parts, and this game ranges from 1 star to 4 star base rarity, 4 star being the highest. And usually the highest base rarity you would need about 0.75% or sometimes 1% to obtain. Now because there are so many parts to one Gundam, when they release there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parts to one Gundam potentially, and each time they release, each part has a drop rate of about alright, this is not the best example, but usually it's about 0.75% to 1% as well. So considering that, your chances of getting any part of a Gundam that you want if you sum up all of the probabilities, it's quite high. Of course, you might say, what if I want all, then really it's really down back to 1%. But that's up to you. As mentioned, the concept of the game, you do not need to collect every part of the Gundam for it to work or to play the game. You can just have a mix, and it's usually better to have a mix as well. Unless it's really a personal favorite, then that's a different matter altogether. And on top of that, you can see that usually they release it on a step-up basis for standard Gunpla banners. So they will release a banner in the week, for the week, the featured Gundam, and they are quite generous. They usually put them on a step-up, and the step-up actually increases the drop rate significantly. So in the additional boost, unlike some gacha games, it's an artificial boost. They tell you, oh, guaranteed 4-star and above or 3-star and above, but the featured Gundam's rates doesn't increase. As you can see here, it's 1% on the normal summons, but in the bonus pool, the additional +1, right, has a boosted rate in itself. So that's great. And as you can see in the higher steps, the rates are even higher. So in step 2, the bonus pool is 3.9, and in step 3, it's a whooping 10%. So on top of that, you get freebies as well. You can see the freebies here that I mentioned. In this case, the freebies are also quite rewarding. Basically, they give you the loading time is a bit problematic, but the freebies on most step-up banners are quite generous, and that's what I like about the game as well. It's very free to play friendly. Okay, this is gonna take a while. Okay, so I'm back. As I was saying, the freebies are really quite attractive usually. For example, you notice there's this step-up banner here, and you notice they mentioned this 4-star parts exchange ticket fragment times 10. So 10 of these will give you the ability to exchange for a 4-star part of your choice, and that to me is really generous. That basically means that with an exchange, you can get the part that you want within that exchange, and they update this list really regularly. It's not just a mechanic to trick your players. Every week when the banner expires on a featured Gundam, they will add it to the pool immediately with all their parts. So if you missed out any part and you have some spare tickets that you saved up from previous events or previous banners, you can easily use it to summon the part that you want. Of course, there are also just like any gacha game, you have a tier where there are limited units, and in this game the limited Gunplas are called Sokai, and the Sokai banner, I don't have an example now, but when they do happen, and the rates are similar as well, about 0.7% for each part or 1%, which is quite reasonable for most games as well. So if you're okay with most games, I think it's what you would expect here. Well, I was talking about the generosity of the game. One thing to consider, every day they will give you a free capsule, right? Every day you get one free. I've used up my quota for today, but you get one free summon just like that, right? And the drop rates are not nerfed as well. As 5% to get a 4-star part, so that's great. But it doesn't include the limited Sokai units, but it's still great. Most of the parts here are still 4-star based, and they are still very useful. And when you summon daily, you never know when you can get a randomly good one. You can get a free pilot as well every day, and free friend point summon, which features the game's original Gundam designed for this game, right? And it's fairly usable as well. So aside from the free summons that you get, and of course sometimes you summon on banners, there is some form of constellation PT exchange mechanic. The game rewards you for playing the events as well. So every week there is a new event, The event will give you some premium materials. One example that I've been collecting for the past few weeks is this 012 premium material. So having 6 of these, every week you get 2, so that's 3 weeks of collecting. Next week you will get another 2, that means there are 8 premium materials. And with 8 premium materials, you will be able to exchange for a specific part as well. So basically every 4 weeks, every 4 events, you kind of get a choice of the part you want, right? Just that it's not the limited ones. But as I've mentioned, the limited Gunpla parts are not a necessity to clear the content within the game. And one thing I really like about the game, and that's the last point, is the power creep. The power creep is not that bad for Gundam Battle compared to the other games that I've experienced. Some of the other games, you can have a meta unit, but within maybe 3 to 6 months, the unit is not really usable, or it's easily, there's a new better meta unit that is required to clear the game content. But for Gundam Battle Gundam Warfare, many of the parts that were released at early stages of the game, such as Gundam Avatar's 4th form arm, was released in the early weeks of the game. It is still very much usable now to clear content. Another example was Astray with Frame's leg. I was showing that. Yeah, he has a skill called Bisect. I think many players still use it as a strong melee attack. And he was released in the early weeks of the game as well. So the power creep for this game is clearly not that apparent. And for a player who has just played the game for 40 days, I was able to clear one of the hardest challenges in the game. So the challenge mode is literally called challenge mode here in this game, and Inferno is the hardest stage, and it's clearable by a relatively new player. So I would say that it's easy to pick up. The power creep is not that great. It's easy to catch up. Overall, it's a great game for Gundam fans, and it's very free to play friendly. In my next video, I will cover more specific content. So there are already a lot of guides out there for this game, so I'm not just going to cover repeated content. And on top of that, the game is very helpful in terms of their control. So if you're ever lost, even though it's so intuitive, you can easily refer to the controls help menu, and they will tell you what you need to know about, Gundam building. Or you can search on YouTube for other guides. But I would like to explore sharing my strategy on clearing the challenge mode. I think that's something that is quite fun to play, but can be quite challenging, especially if you're not a whale and you have limited resources. You need to plan how to defeat the stages while you want to remain a free-to-play player, right? How to do that is a tricky balance. And thank you for watching my video. I hope you've enjoyed my quick review or opinion on Gundam Battle Gundam Warfare. Right, peace.